Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really interesting piece you sent over from Mercedes Kostucki. It's about the Star Trek Discovery premiere, the Vulcan Hello.
Hmm.
But it's not your usual review at all. She uses it more like a Rorschach test, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like those ink blots. What you see says something about you.
Right, so she pulls in philosophy, psychology, all aimed at personal growth. And that's our mission today, isn't it?
It is. We want to pull out the actionable stuff from her reflections. Things you can actually use in your own life, work, everything.
Yeah.
Kind of mirroring how she watches, reacts, and then learns from it.
Okay, so where do we start? I think one of the first things that grabbed her was the Klingons declaring war on people who come in peace.
Yeah, that paradox. She called it the integration of opposites.
Integration of opposites. What does that mean for, like, our everyday challenges?
Well, it's about looking for those spots where things seem totally contradictory in your own life or work. You know, like where conventional thinking says one thing, but maybe going against the grain is the answer.
Yeah.
The insight for you, listening, is to ask, where have you faced that? Maybe combined ideas that seem like they couldn't possibly work
All
together.
right.
And where now, in a current challenge, could embracing some apparent contradiction actually open up a whole new way forward?
Mm.
It's often in that tension that the really creative solutions hide.
Okay, interesting. She also
Yeah.
talks about the visuals, the aesthetics, finding joy in just how the episode looked, especially that desert scene.
Yeah, that visual aesthetic joy.
And how is that actionable for us? I mean, appreciating visuals is nice, but
Well, think about your environment, your workspace, maybe your home office. Does it feel good? Does it help you think, or does it kind of drag you down?
hmm.
Kostucki appreciating the visuals is a nudge, really, a reminder that the look and feel of things around us, it has this subtle power over our mood, our focus, even our productivity. It's not just about having a desk and chair, you know.
I see. So paying attention to the aesthetics isn't just fluff, it can actually impact performance.
Absolutely. It feeds into your state of mind.
Okay. Then there was the bit with the Starfleet insignia in the desert. How that simple shape solved a complex problem.
Right, the simplicity beyond complexity. She connected it to those logic puzzles by Raymond Smullyan.
So the takeaway there, when we're stuck on something complicated,
The challenge is, are you maybe overcomplicating it? Are you lost in the weeds, missing something elegant and simple?
uh-huh.
Kostucki's point here is a great reminder to step back sometimes. That super complex problem you're wrestling with. Could there be a straightforward solution hiding in plain sight if you just weren't so focused on how complex it seems?
It's easy to get caught up in the complexity, definitely. Now, this next one I found really relatable. Her impatience with the opening credits.
Yeah. Even though she practices silent meditation, she still felt that urge to skip ahead.
And instead of just shrugging it off, she actually looked at it. What can we learn from paying attention to those small, almost silly reactions?
This is where that Rorschach test idea really comes alive, that little flicker of impatience. It
Yeah.
wasn't just random noise. For her, it pointed towards something deeper about patience, maybe expectations.
Okay.
So for you, the listener, the value is immense. Notice those small daily irritations, the things you barely register consciously. Don't just dismiss them. Ask yourself, what might this tiny reaction be telling me about my priorities, about where I'm feeling resistance?
Mm,
Like Kostucki suggests, these little things can be the tip of the iceberg, pointing to something much more profound underneath.
that takes some self-awareness. Okay, moving on. Burnham's log entry about life from chaos, and then the contrast between Saru and Burnham facing the unknown object.
Right, Saru immediately judges it lurking. Burnham is more open. Maybe it's lost.
And Kostucki brings in Byron Katie's Judge Your Neighbor worksheet here. How does that help us?
It's a fantastic tool for looking at our own judgments. We all make them all the time, often without thinking. Saru's reaction is classic projecting negativity onto the unknown. Katie's worksheet gives you a way to unpack those judgments,
Right.
to question them. Why did I assume that? What's the impact? So think about a judgment you made recently, maybe about a coworker or a situation. What assumptions were behind it?
Right.
What if you tried approaching it with Burnham's openness instead of Saru's suspicion? What might change? It's about challenging those automatic negative thoughts.
It sounds like a practical way to foster more openness. Then there's the dynamic between Saru and Burnham themselves. Cautious Saru, intuitive Burnham.
Yeah, she connects them to the ideas in The Master and His Emissary about the different ways our brain hemispheres work, different cognitive styles.
So understanding those styles, how does that help us grow?
It's huge for effectiveness, really,
Yeah.
both personally and professionally. First, recognizing your own default style. Are you more the detail-oriented planner, like Saru, or the big-picture intuitive type, like Burnham? Neither is better. But knowing your tendency helps you see where you might have blind spots. And crucially, it helps you appreciate the other style. How can you consciously bring in that other perspective? Balance your inner Saru and Burnham.
Yeah, and value people who think differently.
Exactly. It leads to better decisions, better collaboration.
Kostucki also noted Saru's technical language, wondering if it was maybe masking ignorance.
Which led her to that great question. When did you last pretend you knew something? When you could have just said, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn.
Ooh, that's a tough one. What's the benefit of admitting I don't know?
It's actually incredibly powerful. There's so much pressure to seem knowledgeable, right? But admitting you don't know isn't weakness. It's the starting point for real learning.
Sure.
It fosters intellectual humility. It signals you're open, curious. Think about times you might have used jargon, maybe talked around something because you weren't sure. What if you just said, help me understand that better?
Yeah.
It builds trust, too.
Good point. Then there was Sarek's statement. That logic is the only thing that grounds us in the present. Kostucki questioned that absolutism.
Yeah. Is it really the only thing? Logic is vital, sure. But what about emotions, intuition? Just being present in your senses.
Right.
So the invitation for us is, what absolute beliefs do we hold? Where have we drawn really rigid lines? Black and white thinking. Questioning those absolutes, embracing a bit more nuance, asking, is that really always true? That's where growth happens. It's about curiosity over certainty.
Okay, challenging our own rigid beliefs. Then Sarek's advice about the Klingons acting against instinct and not letting the past drive assumptions.
Kostucki connected that to entrepreneurship, creativity, seeing impossible patterns.
How does that apply outside of Star Trek for us?
It's about breaking free from the that's how we've always done it, or that failed last time. Past experience is useful, but it can also blind us.
Yeah, I can lock you in.
Exactly. So the question for you is, what assumptions based on your past might be holding you back now? Preventing you from seeing a new opportunity or a totally different way of doing things? Can you cultivate that ability to spot the unexpected connection, the impossible pattern?
That's key for innovation, definitely. What about the title itself? The Vulcan Hello, meeting force with force to show respect.
Yeah, that counterintuitive idea. Speaking the other's tongue, as Kostucki put it. Showing respect in a way they understand, even if it feels wrong to us.
How can we use that in our relationships? That sounds tricky.
It is tricky, but think about a relationship where communication feels off, strained. Are you showing respect in your preferred way? Or are you trying to understand what actually lands as respectful to them?
Ah, I see.
It might mean adapting your approach, maybe being more direct or less direct or using different language. It's about bridging that gap by meeting them where they are, at least in terms of how respect is perceived.
That requires empathy. Okay, almost there. The climax, Burnham's mutiny, the decision to fire first.
Right, the tension around assertiveness, hierarchy, and communication breakdowns. Kostucki mentioned outliers and how communication styles matter.
So the learning for us there
Yeah.
about speaking up, taking initiative.
It's about reflecting on those times you didn't speak up, even when you felt you were right. What held you back? Fear, respect for hierarchy. And considering, are there high-stakes situations where maybe, just maybe, that old saying applies? Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. It's not always the case, obviously, but it challenges us to think about when assertive action is truly needed, even if it bucks the system.
It's a complex balance. You
Yeah.
know, throughout all this, Kostucki is referencing Byron Katie, the master and his emissary, voice dialogue.
Yeah, she really uses these frameworks to enrich her self-reflection. It really drives home her main point, doesn't it? Using pop culture or any experience as this incredible lens for self-discovery.
It absolutely does, and her willingness to analyze her own reactions, even the small stuff like the impatience, that's a powerful model for us.
Totally. It's about cultivating that inner observer, always asking, okay, what just happened there? What can I learn?
So, bringing this all together, what's the core message we want our listener to walk away with from Kostucki's look at the Vulcan Hello?
I think the main thing is, well, Kostucki shows us a really powerful way to learn and grow from just about anything, even watching TV.
Right.
By paying attention to your reactions, questioning your assumptions, connecting the dots like she does,
Right.
you unlock this deeper self-understanding. You get practical tools for navigating your own life, your own
Mhm.
challenges. It's a framework, really.
And if people found this approach valuable, this kind of deep, reflective analysis, and they want more, maybe even learn directly from Mercedes Kostucki.
Well, yeah, if this resonated
Hmm.
and you're interested in exploring these themes of self-reflection, philosophy, personal growth more deeply, then her private community, Transcendence, is definitely worth checking out. You can find the details at planksip.org. Join the Transcendence community. It's basically a space designed for exactly these kinds of conversations we've been having, and you get direct access to Mercedes' expertise. What we've talked about today, drawing insights from Star Trek, that's just a taste of the kind of thing that happens in the community.
Sounds like a great resource for anyone wanting to continue this kind of exploration. Perfect. So maybe a final thought for our listener to chew on.
Yeah, building on all this, consider this. What other seemingly ordinary thing in your life, maybe another show, a book, an interaction you had today, what might that hold for your growth if you just looked at it with the kind of curiosity and self-reflection that Mercedes Kostucki brought to the Vulcan Hello?
Great question to end on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.